So when you listen to music, what do you usually like to listen to? If you listen to stuff that's normally on the radio, would you want to listen to something a little bit more different? The concept of alternative music may seem strange at first compared to music that's normally on the radio, like pop and rap and all that stuff. But the concept of alternative music is made a big impact on today's society because of its use of unique music, lyrics, and how it's presented differently. So that is why I'll be talking about the evolution of alternative music, specifically alternative rock. I've chosen this topic because I grew up around music, and I've definitely thought that alternative music has made a huge impact on my generation specifically. So I will be talking about the origins, characteristics, and the evolved subgenres of alternative music. So first, let's dive right into the deep-rooted origins of alternative music. So ever since the early 1980s, alternative music has made a huge impact on the music society in various ways. Quote, in the early 80s, several bands were emerging on the scene that didn't exactly fit into a certain category of music due to their sound and point of view. Therefore, these bands were coined as, quote-unquote, alternative, end quote. This quote is from the History of Alternative Music. So, at first, when it was presented, alternative music didn't really seem to fit in the mainstream, upbeat, poppy music that everyone was used to during the 80s. Second, quote, the turning point for alternative music was in the late 1980s. All the different subgenres that rock and roll had spawned were now starting to gain much notoriety as the mainstream style of rock and roll. End quote. This quote is from Searching for an Alternative, A Brief History of Alternative Rock. So these bands never stopped. They came together and have gained popularity because of its uniqueness of sound, lyrics, and the way it's presented. Then, quote, the fear and uncertainty that came with the 9/11 terrorist attacks gave rise to a renaissance of sorts as alternative artists funneled their frustration and anger towards the government into their music. End quote. This quote is from Alternative Music's Evolution. So, attacks like 9/11 and such negative impacts in society that literally brought society down has made an uprising from these bands that have evolved ever since the 1980s, and it's became an uprising and gained its popularity because of its uniqueness and uprising with its music and lyrics, thus results in its ongoing popularity. So far, we've talked about the origins of alternative music. Now let's go over the characteristics of alternative music compared to normal music. So I will be introducing this topic by saying, quote, alternative music is an attempt to describe any music that doesn't quite fit into the mainstream sound of a given era, end quote. This quote is from the characteristics of alternative music and exploration. So, alternative music is different from the mainstream pop music due to its strange and unique use of vocals, its different structure and length, like chorus, verse, bridge, it's all mixed, and the lengths are a bit longer or shorter, depending. And the use of instruments and sound, like using the electric guitar or the electric keyboard and using different sound effects you find in movies. So now we've gone over the origins and the characteristics of alternative music. So now finally, let's go over the subgenres that have evolved in alternative music. Quote, alternative rock consists of many subgenres that have emerged since its beginning. End quote. This quote is from Alternative Music History. Some of these subgenres include grunge, which involve bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam. Second is pop punk, which includes bands like My Chemical Romance and Green Day, and indie pop, which includes bands like MGMT and Arctic Monkeys. So, in conclusion, alternative music is unique in its own way and has overall taken the world by storm. In the end, no matter what you listen to, it's good to expand your horizons and be open-minded of different interpretations of music, because music is art and is definitely open to many different interpretations because it overall brings people together. And that is what our current society needs right now, is the ongoing purpose of alternative music, bringing people together. And by bringing people together through this, we will definitely change the world for the better.